Right away, one of the biggest differences between a resale home and a new construction home is going to be the timeline. Hello, my name is Kristinaalexa. I'm a full-time real estate agent here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I specialize in relocation, so if you're looking for some more valuable direction and insight, please reach out to me at my contact information on the screen. Let's dive into these new builds. The greatest difference between buying a resale and a new construction is going to be the timeline. This is really important to know. If you're a buyer and we're working together and you're letting me know, hey, I have an urgency, my job is going to relocate to Las Vegas in, 30 days at the end of the month. My lease is going to be up on the 15th. I need to have somewhere to live, I'm relocating, I'm arriving in Las Vegas at the end of the month. I need to have somewhere to live. I can only rent out a hotel for X amount of nights. That is really important to know. In resale, what goes on is you're going to have a close of escrow date that is more or less very firm. For some reasons, escrow does sometimes get extended, but it's never more than a couple days or a week because someone's missing a document. In a resale, you definitely have a really good, nearly spot on every time, perfect idea of when you're going to close and get your keys and be able to take occupancy of the residence. In new construction, you and I, myself as your agent and you as the buyer, we're not working with the seller who's, also moving somewhere and in agreement with us and is going to say, hey, I know you guys need to get in by this date, let's close on this date. We're working with the builder themselves, who is pretty much working for themselves. They need to get these homes sold, yes, but there's no urgency. I shouldn't say there's no urgency, but there's definitely not as much urgency with the builder. That being said, if you have a certain timeline that you need to meet, builders do not give us a close of escrow date. They only give us an estimated closing date, which is exactly that, an estimated date. Meaning we're gonna pick out our beautiful lot, we're gonna pick out the house we want, the model, the premiums, the upgrades, and they're gonna say, great, this is gonna be done in 60 days, 90 days, and whatever, however long, at the end, beginning of September. And this happens nearly every time. I don't want to scare you, I just really want you to know this. So they're gonna call me and they're gonna say, hey Christina, those baseboards that you guys picked out that comes with this model that they love, or that specific flooring, well, our distributor just called us and they let us know they're actually 3 weeks behind. And that alone is the domino for X, Y, and Z to happen to finish building the house. So we're pushing back your completion date another month. This isn't something to worry about. Your house is not going to be it's never more than a couple months when your first initial estimated completion date was. I'm not saying oh, they're going to have you waiting another year. Not a big deal. If you really know that you want to get into new construction, all the way around this is just, start early. Have that timeline. If you know you're not going to move to Vegas until the summertime, start now. Don't forget to contact me. If you know it's going to be beginning of next year and you really want a new construction, definitely start, I would say, at least 3 months out, 90 days, because things like this happen and you don't want to be put in a situation where you're having to figure out, where to live in the interim if you have something like that going on. Another very common question I get when buying new construction is, do I have to use a real estate agent? No, you technically don't even have to use a real estate agent in a resale home. As a buyer and as a seller, you're allowed to represent yourself. However, obviously, a realtor is going to provide you an immense amount of protection. They're going to be able to negotiate for you and all that stuff. I'm not here to sell you on using a realtor. I know that we're already in good terms. A builder, though, sometimes will tell you, if you walk into their sales office, on the weekend, you're just looking at new construction, they'll say to you, do you have a real estate agent? And you're going to say, oh yes, they're not with me now, or something like that. Do not ever say to them, even if you haven't reached out to a realtor yet, no, I do not, because that salesperson in that office is there representing the builder, meaning that salesperson is going to do everything they can to make it a win for the builder. And they're going to do everything they can to make sure they get the most money out of you, the buyer, because that's what they're hired for. Those salespersons in those offices, in Nevada at least, they are not on commission like myself. They are on salary by the builder. Therefore, they have a pretty big incentive to work in favor of the builder. What do? You contact me before you go see any new builds, so that way you have someone on your end negotiating for you as well. There are a couple extra I'm not going to say fees, but just costs that come with buying a new construction. The first one is going to be the lot premium. But many people do not know this. Every builder is permitted to charge a lot premium for certain lots. Sometimes they're corner lots, and I'm talking about if you are on a street and you have a block and none of them are built yet, and you're like, hey, the cool part is you get to pick specifically where on the street that you want to live, which is so awesome. I love a good corner lot, just like I love a good corner slice of cake. But the corner lots have like the no neighbor on the side most of the time, so that's why a lot of people like corner lots. Anyways, if you say, hey, I want this specific corner lot or the third one in for whatever reason, the builder is going to, sometimes this varies by builder and by model and by time, charge you what's called a lot premium, meaning it's able to be financed, which is great. It's going to be worked into your mortgage. However, it is a premium for that lot itself. Basically, you're buying the land that your house is going to be built on. I've seen it as low as $5,000. I've seen it as high as $50,000. It really just depends. It depends if you're buying a luxury home, a townhouse, all of that stuff, what side of town. It also depends if the builder is in the process of selling out that neighborhood, which I will cover in a second. You'll understand what that means. Or if the neighborhood just opened and they're, going to have more of a premium on those lots because they want to, it's going to be hotter, as soon as it hits the market. So those lot premiums are something that you will not know about, and those lot premiums also change. Oftentimes, again, this all varies with new construction. Everything varies in new construction, but those lot premiums often change every 2 sales or so. For example, if there's a block, two of the first houses on that block get sold for a $10,000 and a $10,000 lot premium, while the builder's gonna be like, great, my houses are selling. Let me raise this lot premium. That one's gonna be $12,000, that one's gonna be $1,300, and etc. etc. They really can charge whatever they like. The good thing is it's gonna be worked into the loan, and it could be financed, so it's not like an extra $5,000 to $50,000 that you're going to be paying out of pocket. But it is something that you need to know, especially if you have your eyes on a very nice lot. Sometimes the lots that the builder knows are going to have a view are going to have a higher premium and things like that. It really just varies. Again, take a real estate agent with you so we can negotiate that down for you in the first place. Okay, the next thing that you might know when buying new construction is that a lot of the premiums and the upgrades that you see in the initial model home are going to be an extra cost. So how builders market their new properties is they're going to say starting at $400,000, starting at $425,000. You probably have seen those ads. Why it says starting at is because that is a base price for the most basic amenities in the home. Meaning, if you're not aware, when you buy new construction, depending on the builder, you can pick out the floors, the baseboards, the appliances, the lighting fixtures, where they go. You can pick out the backsplash, all those really cool, fun things. You really get to design your own house, which is amazing. I love that. I personally am a new construction type of girl when shopping for myself. But all of those things, they basically their starting prices are for the most affordable of those amenities. They're not oftentimes like ugly, they're not oftentimes out of taste, they're just literally what the builder decides that this is going to be their base starting price and the lowest cost build for everything. For example, let's say you want everything base price, but the backsplash of your kitchen, you want to upgrade it into a specific design. That is going to be another, it really depends, let's say another 10 to 15 grand added onto your house. A big one is here in Summerlin, the doors are able to be upgraded. Oftentimes, most builders do this, upgraded from the regular 6-foot doors to the 8-foot doors. It really gives a nice luxury look and really opens up the house, making it look even bigger than it is. That's another 10 grand oftentimes. That's not something to freak out. Again, all of this can be financed, but that hidden cost is sometimes where the builders might get you, because you're going to go in and say, hey, it says outside and it says online, these prices are starting at $400,000. That's awesome because I'm pre-approved to $400,000. Well, you're going to end up saying, I want this and this and this and this, and you're going to quickly hike up your actual closing price from all of the amenities and from that lot premium we talked about to $450,000, $475,000. That's really where the builders make a good amount of their money, is in those premium and those upgrades. So that's just something to note when you're looking at new builds, making sure that you know all of those nice things that you're going to want are going to be an extra cost. It's not a big deal. The builder will print out a price addendum for us when we go to the design center and pick out all the fun stuff and say, this is going to cost this, this is going to cost this. You go home, you say, okay, what do I really want to finalize, think about it, and then you know, once you're good with where your budget is at, and we've talked to the lender and, you know, ask them what it could be when you finance all of this stuff, how much your mortgage payment is going to go up. Once you do that is then when we move forward. It's really not like an insane thing. Everything can be financed, which is great. Everything is working to the loan, which is amazing. Speaking of the loan, I am a real estate professional. I have my real estate license. I am not a mortgage loan officer. I do have my preferred lenders. If you don't have one, I will definitely get you in touch with her. However, as a realtor, while I do stay in my lane, and I know I'm not a mortgage loan officer or a lender, and I stay, talking about the houses and I let them do all the financial stuff, I do know that builders cannot lock in their rates until they are closer to that estimated completion date. For example, if today's interest rate, you're not getting to escrow tomorrow on your dream new build, and it's currently March 28th, the interest rate today is 7% on the loan. Perfect. Wow, your house gets a 90-day closing estimation date, which is great. That's going to be April, May, June. End of June, first week of July. Let's say your house is going to be ready. Awesome. We're like, hey, lender, we're going in. We're putting down the deposit. Let's lock in the rate. 7%. Perfect. They're like, what the lender's going to say is, hey, with new builds, they're a little far out. We cannot actually lock the rate for you until we're at least 60 days out or 30 days out, depending on the lender. Again, this is just a case by case. I am not a loan officer. Some loan officers will lock it out for you when you're far in advance, but most will not. Meaning, if for whatever reason our home that we're building gets pushed back 6 months, you are not going to get the interest rate of today when you first put your deposit. You're going to get the interest rate that is whatever the rate is when we are getting closer to close date. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out is as far as I see lenders going. So when they say yesterday's price is not today's price, they speak the truth. That is something to know, because today, March 28th, let's say the interest rate is 7%. That is going to be a huge difference if 6 months from now the interest rate is even 7.5%, 7.75%, 8%. Huge difference there in your monthly mortgage payment. Not a big deal, because all of those expectations are set up front, and you and I talk to our lender and the preferred lender that the builder might have as well to see where we can get the best deal for you, and them knowing realistically that the prices are going to change and fluctuate because of the rate. Everyone knows that, so everyone's going to be on board to getting you, the buyer, the best rate. It's just something that you definitely have to know. Again, this is why I say when you're buying a new construction, you want to start as early as possible to budget everything out and have the time and the money to do so. Most new construction in today's day and age, 2023, they're going to come with a gate. Some of them are going to come with a guard gate, a pool, beautiful landscaping, public parks with children's, the slide and all that stuff. Meaning 99% of new construction today, some of them don't, but most of them do have an HOA. They can go as high as they like to, depending on, what amenities are in the neighborhood. So that is just another fee that you need to be mindful about when moving into a new neighborhood that's going to have those amenities. The last miscellaneous thing I do want to let you know when buying a new construction is to be aware of the home inspection. So when you buy a resale home, it is not a given, but almost an expectation it's not mandatory, but it is an expectation for the buyer to do his or her due diligence and get a home inspection on this resale home, meaning it's going to be a third-party, neutral vendor here in Las Vegas that is going to come and inspect the home for everything that you and I cannot see with our blind eyes, because we don't build homes for a living. A lot of them, especially the one I specifically use and recommend for my clients, have sonar, so they're able to look inside the walls with like an infrared camera and see if there was any water damage, if something is breaking, if something needs to be fixed. And then from there, you get a home inspection report. And it's not really a pass or fail. They're not going to be like, you should buy this house, you shouldn't buy this house. It's truly just going to be a line-by-line item with pictures and descriptions from the home inspector of every little thing to bring this home up into the standard. Meaning, even if there is a smoke alarm that the battery needs to be changed, that is super easy to fix, 5 minutes, right? Go up there and change it. They're gonna write that in the home inspection, because they're gonna get every single detail. If there's some missing tiles on the roof for a resale, sometimes that happens as homes get older. Roof tiles just fall off. They're gonna write it down. They're gonna know everything. A home inspection doesn't normally happen in a new construction building because it's brand new and they have to literally go through so many city inspections on their end, on like the builder's end, to bring it up to code, the building code of 2023, 2022. Some builders in town are actually already building to 2024 code, which is amazing. The building code that the city puts out, you know, to set that standard. So it's not mandatory because of a couple things. First, even if it's not mandatory, you can still hire out. This is a cost from the buyer's pocket. Hire out. It's usually about $500 depending on the square footage of the home. That inspector to come in and do an inspection. It really doesn't hurt. It kind of only helps. I'm just going to mention a couple line items. It's probably just going to be way, way shorter than a resale. Second is, as you and I, as we're reaching closing, that estimated closing date, and we get an actual more firm date, what's going to happen is that we will do what's called the blue tape walkthrough, which we're going to go with that like blue painter's tape, and you and I are going to walk through the home with the builder's rep, as well as most of the time they also send out the construction manager, which is super awesome, because we're going to walk the home, you and I, the buyer and the realtor, and we're going to say, hey, we noticed this paint is chipping here. Hey, we noticed like this scaffolding on the outside of the property here is not perfect. Hey, we noticed this is dirty. We don't want to receive the home when it's not in the best condition, right? So we're gonna take this blue painter's tape and literally pinning every single little thing the house might have, and we're also gonna write down every thing that we want repaired, and we're going to give it to the builder so that they can get all of these things done before we move in. I can live with you. Before we move in, and they're going to bring it up to that standard that we expect, right? You want to be handed over a nearly perfect home. Of course, there's always going to be things with homes, like as the house settles, but you want to be handed over a nearly perfect home, and I want to ensure of that. So that's why we have the blue tape walkthrough, or the construction walkthrough is what some people call it. Final walkthrough is just the general term for it, to have this U&I inspection. In addition to this blue tape walkthrough with the builder and the construction manager, there's going to be a home warranty provided by the builder, and this is oftentimes why there is not that third-party home inspection done by a different vendor, because the builder, 9 times out of 10, I almost want to say 10 times out of 10, because if the builder is not offering home warranty, I am not letting you write an offer on that property. But 9 times out of 10, the builder is going to offer you as the new occupant, as the buyer, a home warranty. Most of them last a year, some of them last 2-3 years, depending on what pieces in the property they are, which is great, because that means for the first full year as you occupy your brand new home, if something's happened and something wasn't installed right, or there's like little imperfections around the house, it's amazing because your builder is giving you warranty for a year, meaning you can call them and you're going to say, hi, Mr. Builder, I noticed, we've been living for 3 months now, nothing has come up, but all of a sudden our hose on our kitchen sink is just acting crazy, and we think that it wasn't installed right. It like popped out. They're gonna say, okay, great, that's covered in your warranty, so I'm gonna send my construction man right over, tomorrow, are you available? And you're gonna say, awesome, thank you. And that is amazing because, again, you want to walk into as perfect as it can be of a property, right? So that's a couple reasons why that third-party home inspection isn't done on a property, on a new construction property. Again, it doesn't hurt to have it, and I hope this makes sense. I hope I'm not over-explaining. So those are all the things I wanted to share with you about buying a new construction.